Hello, and welcome to another episode of Talkin Rangers. Today is Thursday, February 27th. This is episode 58 of the Talkin Rangers podcast. 3 games in the book since the Four Nations face-off break, and the New York Rangers are somehow 2-1. Terrible loss against the Sabres. Did not play well against the Penguins at all, but found a way to come away with a victory, 5-3, and then beat up pretty good on the Islanders, 5-1. So 2-1 since this break. Now going to a 4-game homestand, Toronto, Nashville, Islanders again on Monday, and then the Capitals. Joe, how's it going? Rangers, not great out of the break, 2-1, so you can't complain a ton. But not playing their best. Fox going on IR is tough. Definitely a little banged up right now. And big game coming up tomorrow against a good Toronto team.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's kind of it's too tough to kind of have a great analysis on this team because it's just too inconsistent. I mean, they honestly have no time. They have 8 days till the deadline? Is the deadline next Friday?
Yes, the 8th, right? Or is it
Or
the 7th?
I think it's the 7th.
So,
but
yeah, because tomorrow's yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's next Friday.
It's next Friday, whatever that is.
They have no time to it's just they've gotten to a point where honestly, I think they should probably sell. But we'll see what happens. You know, they're 2 points out of a spot. I mean, a couple of games go their way tonight and they win tomorrow, they'll be in a playoff spot. So, but I don't know where that's going to get them. I mean, they just have not been playing well. I mean, the game on Saturday that was awful. And then the game on Sunday was just as bad. I know they won that game, but I mean, the two different games is one Igor plays great, one he plays bad. So,
yeah.
I mean if you take Igor out of both games, they played like shit in both games equally.
Yeah. I mean, they didn't play well at all on Saturday, and Sunday they didn't play well. Igor played very well, but they got outshot 40-16. If the Penguins had competent goaltending, that probably would have been.
That dude was awful.
Blomqvist or whatever the heck his name is, however you pronounce it. If they had competent goaltending, they would have probably won, but they didn't. So 5 goals and 16 shots is not something that I know. JT Miller with the empty net, so technically 4 on 15 shots with an actual, although empty net, him and net, it's kind of the same because he was terrible. And even I would say even on Tuesday, I mean, Sorokin played terrible.
Yeah,
it was 2 goals in the first 3 shots, and there was a stretch there in the second period where the Islanders were applying a lot of pressure, and Igor made a couple really big saves.
They had 4 goals on 9 shots.
Yeah. They got outshot 37-18, so very similar. Islanders were getting a lot of shots on that. Rangers weren't. It's just Igor stood on his head. Sorokin was awful. Brodzinski had a legacy game. Him and Uro Vakanainen, I did not expect to go out there and put up 3 goals in the first period, but they did. So, yeah, it seems in a tough spot. I think all Rangers fans, you're 2-1, and I guess don't want to be so negative because they're 2 points back. If some things roll their way tonight, they win tomorrow. They've got Nashville coming up, which is winnable. You've got another game against the Islanders. You should be able to beat them again. So you still got these winnable games in front of you. You still got games against Ottawa, Columbus, which are, of course, all teams battling for those wild card spots. So those are, important games still coming up. So they still got a lot right in front of them. It's just, I think you come out of this break, you would have liked to see them play better. They haven't really played very well in any of these 3 games. They've kind of played average at best. And it's still a lot of those, even the Islanders game, it was the 4th line. It was Brodzinski, Vakanainen as well. And then you had the Penguins game was JT Miller at a big game. Igor, you haven't seen that dominant effort yet that they should have had against these teams, at least against a team like Buffalo where they stink. Or even Pittsburgh. They went up against 3 teams that aren't going to be in the playoffs. No guarantee the Rangers are going to be in the playoffs, but you would have just liked to seen some better games.
Who knows?
Maybe we're too picky, though. They did win 5-1, but 16 shots is not going to cut it against any of these other good teams.
I mean, maybe they are able to play up to the better teams when they play the next month. They probably have games against a lot better teams than what they've been playing. I mean, they play Toronto on tomorrow.
Yep.
So we'll see. Maybe there's going to be a team that's going to stoop down to teams that aren't good and play at their level, and then teams at the higher level, like Toronto, they'll come up and play with them. But I don't know. It's just a little concerning. I mean, especially with all the top 6 guys that just aren't really producing. I mean, if you look at,
Yeah.
I got a couple stats here. You ready for them?
Yeah.
Ryan Lindgren, his last 11 games has 8 points, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he has back-to-back multi-point games. Alexi Lafreniere has never did that once this year. Has had
Yeah.
never back-to-back multi-point games. So that's a guy in your top 6. And if the definition of a stay-at-home defensive defenseman is putting up more points in consecutive games, that's not good. I mean, Vakanainen's got 3 points in a game. Brzezinski's got 3 points in a game. I don't think Lafreniere's done that. I feel like Trocheck probably hasn't done that since like November. When's the last time Panarin has done that? 3 points in a game. It's been a
Panarin's,
while.
yeah, he hasn't had all year. He's been kind of off. Lafreniere is just very frustrating. He's the most disappointing because he was so good. He got the contract. He disappeared. He went into this break, and I forget, a couple of the beat reporters were talking to him about just coming out of this break and talking about how he has to play better. And you were kind of confident, again, just confident in this whole team that maybe they could come out with some, they went into the break pretty positive, I would say, for the most part. I mean, they won 3 of their last 4. They did have that bad loss to Pittsburgh, but for the most part, JT Miller playing well. Mika was playing better. Like, they went into the break good. You would have liked to seen them come out of the break better. You would have liked to seen Lafreniere come out of the break, just the top 6 as a whole. I mean, Trocheck's kind of been Kreider's out, back-to-back games with the upper body injury. Now you have Fox out on IR, which is tough. So it's
For
meh.
as much as you don't really like Miller, he's hurt too. I don't know if he's
Yeah.
going to miss any games, but he practiced today.
Yeah. And what was it? Miller, I think, was it Miller with the illness, I think, today?
He's fine. JT's
Yeah.
he's going to play.
He'll play, but he was out.
He needed like a rest day. I feel like he's been, with the tournament and everything.
He has not had probably a time to like breathe. Because even if he wasn't in 4 Nations, it would have been 2 weeks. But he basically got traded. He had the back-to-back. He got into Boston like 3 a.m, played that day, and then played the next day. And then
never got settled in. Then had the 4 Nation.
Yeah, then that 4 Nations, and then right back at it with the back-to-back. I mean, he's probably not. I don't know if he's still living with Trocheck, but he's got to get some other stuff outside of hockey figured out. So he's playing well, though. He's been excellent. That's been a big positive. JT Miller's been awesome. 5 goals as a Ranger since being traded over here again. Again, the Pittsburgh game was big, of course. He had the big goals against, the 2 goals against Boston. He's been excellent. He's been overall 5 goals, 4 points, 4 assists, 9 points in 8 games. So point per game since coming over here. He's been, forechecking, physicality, skill, all of it's been on display. He's probably been their best player since, excluding Igor, like since coming out of the break, he's by far been the guy that's come out with the most life. And I guess,
Vakanainen,
yeah, Brzezinski, right? Othman, I thought Othman should have had a goal. Nice play by, well. I forget who it was who blocked it, but I thought he played solid. Happy Othman's up.
Yeah, I mean, it finally called him up. I mean, I don't know how it's going to last or how long it's going to last, but a little disappointed that he's on, 4th line minutes. I wouldn't say 4th line. I'd say 4th line minutes because that line was probably their best line. But, I mean, who knows how many minutes he's going to get, which, I mean, again, I don't know how well that line's going to play in every game, but I'd like to see him play with better players. But at the same time, your better players aren't playing well. But we'll see. I mean, I think even if Kreider comes back, I think he played well enough to stay in the lineup. Maybe we'll take out VC. But it also, again, it kind of depends on what happens with Zibanejad. Like, is he playing center? Is he playing wing? I don't know why he's playing wing, to be honest. I don't want him playing wing, but I guess for now he's going to play wing. I think it's confusing. I mean, because they got to figure this out by the deadline because they have. I think they got to get a center at the deadline.
Yeah.
I don't. If they're so fixated on him playing wing, which again he should not be playing wing. I guess it's a trial run maybe now, and like if they don't like it, they'll get a center, or they won't get a center. If they do like it, they'll get a center. Because I mean, let's be honest, I don't think this team's gonna do anything anyway. But if they make the playoffs, I mean, Johnny Brodzinski, granted he had a great game, but I mean he can't be your third line center going into a playoff series.
Yeah. No, I mean that's why they're in a tough spot now. With the Fox going down is a tough injury. Like it feels like the worst they could probably do is just stand pat at the deadline.
Yeah, they can't.
You'd rather see them not go like spend like drunken sailors and completely go all in and make
maybe they do a little bit of
but,
both. Maybe they sell and buy, which I think.
Which they kind of done this year. I mean, they moved on from Kakko, moved on from the terrible Trouba contract. They bring in JT Miller. They've kind of done a little bit of both of getting rid of, I guess, maybe dead weight, if you want to call it that, and then bringing in, Miller, which was a need. Maybe they do at the deadline, let off some dead weight and bring in another center or whatever if they're going to play Mika at wing. So then you have depth there because, again, Brodzinski in the playoffs is not necessarily a recipe for success.
Yeah. I mean, he's a pretty good, like, healthy scratch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not trying to be like a hater. I mean, I tweeted a tweet before the game. I guess it didn't age great. I was like, oh, it was something along the lines of, in what world is Brodzinski playing over Offman? And then, all like the fanboy Ranger fans were coming at me saying, oh, look what happened. It's aged like milk. But at the same time, it's one game. Listen, if Johnny Brodzinski starts putting up multi-point games for the rest of the season, I will completely eat my words. Yeah. But I don't know.
With Mika. If Mika starts
on that.
If we get Mika March, we'll all be happy. We'll all give him credit. But
Sunday
right now
is the first game of Mika March.
Yeah.
Does tomorrow count as Mika March? Even though it's the 28th,
still February.
So it's got to be March, even though it's close to Mika. So maybe we'll get like a preview tomorrow.
It's got to be the Nashville game, right? It's the first day. Tomorrow
we'll get like a preview tomorrow, like
tomorrow maybe. Yeah, tomorrow give like a goal.
This is the last day of February.
Yeah. Give us a goal, and then Sunday against Predators, 2 goals. Islanders, 2 goals, and just go on it there.
I don't know. I just think that, like I said, the roster's in a weird spot. I mean, like you said, especially with the injury, but
I'm interested to see how that impacts them.
I don't think it's going to impact them as much as people think, just because of the way it's constructed, the team right now, and how they're playing. Yeah. Where if it was like Fox was like playing at an all elite level, where he, maybe he was a couple of years ago or whatever, but he for whatever reason, either he's sick or I won't say sick. I mean, he can't be sick for that long. If he's injured or whatever the reason why he's not playing where we thought he was in the previous years, but I don't think he's been like that elite player kind of driving the team. So I don't think it's going to be that big of an impact. Not to say that he doesn't make a huge impact. He's the best defenseman on the team, but I think with the roster and how it's constructed right now and how they're playing, I don't think it's going to be that big of a difference. There's not really a player on this team that they got hurt, I think would be a devastating blow.
I think the only one would.
I don't think anyone. Not even Igor.
I don't know if it'd be devastating, but if Miller were to go down, like you can pretty much count the season over.
I mean, but the thing is, though, for me.
In a way, he has. He's given this team a lot of life. Maybe I'm too high on Miller, but
where this team's going, not as much as what the players give. Where it's like the team is probably a first-round exit if they make the playoffs. So it's like last year, if anyone got hurt, devastating. Pretty much anyone. Yeah. Like for the most part. I mean, obviously, I don't know if Gustafsson got hurt. I don't think it was that big, but like if one of your big guys gets hurt with a team like that, where it looks like you can win it, yeah. But with a team like this, where I don't know. I guess it kind of depends on what your goal is for the team. Like if your goals to make the playoffs, it's probably a little bit of a devastating blow. But I don't know. I feel like this team had bigger goals than that in previous years. So it kind of, for me, I don't really care if they make the playoffs as much, just because I don't think they can get to a spot where at least
Stanley Cup.
last year, at least the conference final. But I don't know.
I mean, they're not in an ideal spot to win a round.
Just to round it off, I don't think it's as big of a deal as it may seem to be.
Yeah.
I mean, also there was reports saying he could return before the end of the year, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it seems like he will return. I think that'll probably be based on where this team's at. Like if they
suck, though?
in a month from now are you could go.
I'm just saying, sorry to cut you off, but you know what's gonna suck? Because I can already see it. They'll make the playoffs. He'll come back. He'll be playing hurt. He'll have a bad series.
Just suck.
I can just see it again. But sorry.
Yeah, no, I mean, Fox has been solid. I don't think I don't think this year has definitely been his best year. I mean, defensively, just as a team, I don't think they're great. The power plays obviously struggle. Now, Fox is still an elite power play quarterback, in my opinion. And I think most people shouldn't just forget that. But I think that, too, is why maybe you could look at this and say it's not as devastating. It's because it's not like this year the power play has been very good. So even with him not quarterbacking it, you still feel like
that too.
It's kind of, it's he's still a good defenseman, but he's not having that big season like we've seen from him typically. And we saw that in Four Nations. He wasn't very good either.
Five forwards. What do you think about that?
Might. I mean, I guess they got it could be it's going to be a whole lot. We're just going to see a whole lot of passing. It's going to be back and forth. Mika's going to shoot the one time or miss the net.
Probably get caught a bunch of times, giving up shorthanded goals.
Yeah. And then, And can we also just continue to say this? They had an odd man rush against the Penguins, missed it. Was it Mika? I think, did he pass it? Was that the Islanders game, Penguins game? I forget. I mean, I can't take it anymore with these 2-on-1s, breakaways, and either not scoring or passing
Islanders
up.
Had good chance.
The Islanders.
The Rangers power play.
Yeah. Yeah, too. The amount of odd man rushes they've given up, the amount of chance they've given up on the power play this year is ridiculous. They almost should let up the same amount of power play goals that they've probably scored this year.
Let's get Rempe, Hoffman, and Brzezinski first power play unit.
Hey, at least they're gonna. You at least know they're gonna put pucks on net, and they're gonna forecheck, and they're gonna be physical. They're not just gonna pass and get.
Vakanainen though will be the quarterback, and then we'll throw in. I don't know. I like Will Cooley, so we'll throw in Will Cooley. That'd be my power play unit. Cooley, Vakanainen at the point, or no, Brzezinski. Wait, no, Brzezinski's got to take the face off. Cooley, Vakanainen, and then the fourth line, Othman, Rempe, and Brzezinski. That's my power play one unit. So tough.
I mean, why not?
The power play
Jack Jones, quarterback.
Who knows if he even get the chance after what he said, where he's like, "Oh, I kind of want to get traded or whatever."
Yeah.
Surprised
that's a guy. Well, I mean, that's a guy that they probably could have dealt, but they won't now.
He probably should be on the power play, though. I think they will. I think they'll realize in the game they'll probably have like one or two power plays where they realize that the 5 forwards it doesn't work, and then they'll be like, okay, Jones out there.
They'll have 2 power plays. They'll let up 2 shorthanded goals, and then they'll be like, this isn't working when the damage is already done.
Yeah, the game's out of reach. 3-0.
Yeah, it's like 4-0, 3-0. Third period, and they're like, okay, let's make a change. Yeah, it'll be interesting. But I think that too, just with the Fox, because the power play has been great this year. Himself, he hasn't had his best season.
Yeah,
still very good. Still one of the top defensemen, but and I think I agree with you, and most Rangers fans probably do. This team isn't playing very well, and there's not really one guy that you take away right now, or even one guy you necessarily add to this team. That they're in such that weird spot where they're so average that you really don't add one guy to this team that moves them to a cup contender, and you don't really take away one guy from this team right now where, like you said, it's a devastating blow. They're kind of stuck in the middle where they're just average. They're mediocre. There's not much you can do either way to, as much you could trade off as many pieces as you want. I don't think you're going to just tank the rest of the year. And I also think you can add a bunch of pieces and go win a cup. That's just kind of the weird spot that this team's in. I guess if they do buy, I mean, you look down the center route, you go what like Ryan O'Reilly
Yeah,
from Nashville.
I was looking at that. Maybe I don't know if they want. I think they kind of want someone with
It feels
more
like
than
they
a
want
rental.
somebody with years.
So maybe him. I don't know. I mean, your centers would be like they would have 4 centers on the team, not
Yeah,
including Carrick. I mean, but he'd play center. Carrick and O'Reilly. They probably that means that they would probably move Zibanejad to wing full time. But I
yeah,
mean, if you just look at the guys who are centers, you have 5 centers on the team now, and like all of them are over the age of like 31.
yeah.
Well, so I don't know. I don't know what they're gonna do. I think I'd probably go for a center. I think they need maybe one defenseman, maybe two. Definitely one.
Yeah, there's no real even young. Like I can't even think of any young centers. But I mean, because well, like Scott Lawton, I think he's what 30. Ricard Raquel is like 31. The only reason he would make
But
somewhat of
he's a
sense is
winger
because he,
though.
yeah. But if they keep, let's say, put Mika at center, they did. I believe they played Sweden together. Him and Mika,
I mean,
I
yeah, I think they're
believe.
both
Not that that
Swedish.
means a
So
ton, but
I don't know.
you know,
I just don't know what they're. There's a chance they might do anything. I mean, now they might add because they lost Fox, but there's a good chance they
yeah.
don't get rid of. Like,
I
if you look at their team realistically,
You
defense.
can kind of see it both ways.
If go through the defense though, like so. Say Fox comes back, you have him. Borgen and Miller, I think, are here. They're going to stay for this year at the very least. Borgen, obviously, foreseeable future because you just re-signed him.
Yeah,
But then Miller, question mark in the offseason is RFA. But again, we'll see what happens. And then I think Schneider is a lock. So those 4 guys, or if this team makes the playoffs, I think will definitely be on the playoff roster. And then you look at the guys like Vakanainen and Miller, or Lindgren. Falconet's been playing well. I don't know if his game is great in the playoffs, though. It doesn't seem like he would be because he's kind of small. But I think they like what he's doing, so I think they're going to keep him. And I think they're going to keep Miller or Lindgren. So I have a feeling they're not going to trade off anyone.
no,
And I think they're
I
just – this is my prediction, which, again, I could be wrong. They're going to add a plug-and-play defenseman to fill in for Fox. That's more likely like a 6-7 defenseman on a team. So like when the roster's healthy, he's probably not even going to play.
yeah,
So that's going to be one deadline addition, and then they're probably going to add a center, which maybe it could be Ryan Riley, but O'Reilly or someone else.
yeah, and I
But I don't see them
get that.
making any. I don't see them making any big changes though on the defense, which they
No,
should, but they won't.
yeah, I think that's probably more off-season stuff. I guess you could look at the opposite way if they now that the Fox is injured, maybe they decide to just stand pat or sell a little bit because you're missing your top defenseman. But then again, Fox hasn't had that major impact on the team, and he's also
But
going to be back this year, so
yeah,
it's not like he's done for the season.
I think it's pretty big indication what they do at the deadline as far as what his injury is, like when the
Yeah,
time frame. Like if they go on by, like he's probably clearly not like that hurt or hurt enough where he's gonna come back.
yeah.
I don't think they're gonna buy to replace him for a playoff run. You know what I mean? Like I don't think they're
Hmm.
gonna be okay. He's hurt. He's not gonna come back. We're gonna replace him and go for it. That's not gonna happen. So if they buy, I guess that's a good sign for Fox where they believe he's going to be back sooner rather than later. But again, I think for the most part, they're just going to stay. They're going to stay the same as far as like defensemen. I think.
Yeah,
Like I said, they might add like a 6th or 7th defenseman, maybe someone that rotates in and out like Vakanainen. But like I said, I think they like how he's playing. I don't think his game translates well to the playoffs. I don't know. I could be wrong.
yeah. Um, yeah. It's not a very robust market. Um,
For as far as defensemen,
just really anybody. I mean,
yeah, I mean,
O'Reilly, let's say. I mean, what Ferraro maybe from San Jose. I think he's got
he's not
years.
that good.
No, but if you're talking about plug and play guy that can, once Fox is back, he's not really a factor. Maybe.
That's
I
someone
mean,
I guess you could target. There's not many big names, but I mean, you don't really need. This team probably could use like a big like a Gensel, but I mean, like if a guy like that was available,
Could have
this
used
team
that
should not
last
be
year.
out. That last year was the year to go out and get a player like that, and a player like that was also available. So, but I mean, there's not really many big names this
Drury's
year.
so stupid.
So dumb.
Last year was the year to go all in and get Gensel, and they didn't. The year before that, they went all in, and it didn't work. Like they messed. He screws up so much. This year is the year to probably sell, and they're gonna still buy. I don't even know.
I don't think they're gonna. I actually don't really think they're gonna buy. I'll be honest. I think
Well,
they're gonna.
They're not gonna like. Again, they're not gonna
They're
spend
gonna
a
make.
ton, but they're gonna add.
I
I
think
should say add.
Ryan O'Reilly would be a pretty big move. I don't think they're gonna do that. I think they're gonna trade for, like I said, a 6'7" defenseman, and then get a bottom 6 center, or a guy that can play center and wing. So maybe for the 6'7" defenseman, get up like a 5th or a 6th.
Mm-hmm.
And then for like that bottom 6 forward, again, like a 5th or a 6th, B, C tier prospect. Nothing much though.
Yeah.
They're not going to buy. Or if you consider adding like 2 bottom players to your lineup on defense and in your forward core, if that's buying, then I guess like they're going to buy, but they're not going to go out and really improve their top 4 defense or top 6 forwards. I don't think they're going to add anything to that. So,
is this the yearly Trevor Zegras to the Rangers discussions?
No, there's no chance that happens. I don't want him. I don't think Ducks are going to trade him either.
Well, he just got suspended too, right?
I think he has like 3 games. I don't know.
Yeah. Not that affects the deadline. I'm just bringing that up.
He's an overrated player. I mean, he's soft. Doesn't score that much.
That's the biggest thing. I was just about to say that he would fail here.
He'd fit in well, actually, though.
He would fit in well, but he would fail with the team in terms of he'd get knocked around in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And he's got no playoff experience, so it's like, yeah, I'm not going after Zegras. Last year was the year to target the Ducks and Frankie Vetrano, not this year.
Yeah,
but
they could have done that last year too. Besides Gensel, they could have
Vetrano. They could have did a lot last year.
Although I don't think Wenberg was too bad.
Wenberg wasn't bad. It was Roslovic and Gensel.
Yeah.
That screwed him up.
I don't know. I think Drury should be probably fired after the year, but I mean,
if they miss the playoffs, they're going to blow it up. There's no way Laviolette survives, and there's no way Drury survives.
You never know.
Drury, how many more changes can you survive,
I mean,
we're going to give him third chance.
They're going to let him hire a third coach? I don't know. Maybe not. He's already hired.
That's why I think and they're both out after 2 years. He fails at the deadline. This year was brutal. Everything he let the Trouba stuff go into the regular season.
Do you let him though make that Miller trade if you weren't going to keep him though? I feel like that's a pretty big move to make.
Yeah, I guess
I don't think he's
unless if it's him putting all of his chips in the center just because he knows this is it.
Maybe, but I don't know. I don't think he's going to get fired. I do think Laviolette's going to get fired, though.
See, that's ridiculous.
I think it is warranted, though.
Yeah,
I think they both should get fired.
How many more coaches is this core going to get? How many more coaches are we going to bring in here and say, okay, I don't know. And Laviolette, I'm not saying he's good, but there's not a single coach out there that can get more out of this core. There's just not. There's not. Maybe it would have been Knobloch, but you let him go.
They hit the ceiling,
Yeah.
They literally hit their max.
But
the ceiling for them was Game 6 conference final.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to ever get back there.
That's been the ceiling for a while.
I don't think they're going to get back there.
Like with this year? Well, yeah.
In general. Like, I don't think this Rangers core.
Oh, no, this Rangers core, they're not going to get back.
I don't even know if they make the playoffs again.
Oh, yeah. If they don't make the playoffs this year, you're probably selling off a lot.
Well, next year is going to be the last year of it.
Yeah, but you
Because
got to sell off some pieces, right?
this year or next year?
This year.
Like after the season?
Yeah, not deadline. After the year.
Probably, but I guess when I'm saying core, it's Igor, Fox, and then the three
Well, I
guys
mean,
up
Igor's
front.
here forever, so.
I know, but I'm saying the main core that's been here, and I guess Miller can kind of be in that core now, but
Yeah.
excluding Miller, I think it's Igor, Fox, and then the three forwards, Miller or Panarin, Zibanejad, Kreider, and I think you see Kreider and Panarin gone next year. So
Yeah.
unless they get off to a really good start.
Yeah. I don't know. It's gonna be tough to get the fan base to
They're
really
in a
buy
bad
in next
spot. I
year.
mean, they're not in a good spot. They're not
No, they're
really.
not. They're at the end of a core. Every core goes through this, except it's different if you win cups. You know, every time. I mean, the Penguins are kind of going through it now with Crosby and Malkin. They're nearing the end. They got to start to rebuild. A little
I
bit
mean,
different because
what
they
is
won
this
cups
year?
and they were there
It's a
for
six year
a
of the
while.
core, I guess, right?
Yeah, essentially.
2019, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because that's when they
six
signed
years.
Panarin. So yeah,
I'd say the core start. I mean, obviously, like Kreider and
Mika
Zibanejad
were
were
here
here,
longer, but
but
and
then you
Kreider was
had like that was a star. I feel like the Panarin was a start as like a core team, and
yeah,
then they had 6 years. I think they're gonna have one more year, or
yeah. They went
half of a year. They'll have a half of next year to see what happens.
yeah,
We'll see, but I mean, let's just say this will last 7 years if it goes all of next year. 7 years is a pretty good time for a core, but they didn't really. I mean, they went to what, 2 conference finals, game
yeah.
6,
They went 6 years, 2 conference finals, and a first round exit,
and then the one year they went
and then
to
whatever
that
happens this
stupid
year.
like
Yeah, the
play-in
qualifier round,
series
the play-in.
bubble.
Yeah,
Then they missed the
that doesn't
playoffs,
count.
and then I mean, whatever happens this year happens this year. But they were pretty
The
good though.
most they are.
The year that they like fully missed the playoffs, I think they were pretty good. That division was just good. Like, you remember just the 4 divisions?
Yeah, the
Like
20
if
56
it
game
was a
season.
normal season, I think they probably make the playoffs that year
Yeah,
because they had more points than the Canadians, who ended up going to Stanley Cup Finals.
yeah,
It's just that the Canadians finished fourth in their division, so they got in. Where the Rangers, I think, finished like fifth
yeah.
or
That
wherever
was
they
the
ended up
East,
finishing.
the Canadian Division East. Yeah, that was
Because we
the
had, I think, like
Kings.
I think it was like the Flyers, or maybe the Flyers didn't make the playoffs. I don't know. I think it was no, it was the Bruins, the Capitals, the Penguins, and there's one more team that made the playoffs in our division. Maybe it was the Flyers.
No, it was Islanders
Oh yeah, the Islanders went to the. You're right, not the Flyers.
because they
The
went
Islanders.
to Game 7 to Tampa.
Yeah, yeah. You're right. You're right. But it was the other. It's definitely like the Crosby and Ovechkin team. They both made it, and
Yeah,
then the Bruins made it too.
yeah. I
So
remember that.
Maybe they finished.
You remember those games or those stretches? Like they would play teams twice or 3 times in a row.
Yeah.
That was so
No
weird.
fans.
No fans.
They
They
had
had
like the
that stretch I
tarps.
remember against the Devils. They played them like 4 games in a row. It was like a playoff series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Weird
I remember
times.
that season.
But I don't think they
Very
were that
weird.
bad though. I
No, they
mean, yeah,
weren't bad. I mean, that's when they had that crazy 9-0 game
they had
against
Buchnevich
Philly.
still.
That was the Knobloch game when David Quinn was out with COVID.
They had COVID that year. Yeah, like Panarin got like ragdolled by Tom Wilson.
Yeah, that was the end of it. That's when they sent out the letter to Tom Wilson. Yep.
Yeah. Then also like he like left in the middle of the year to like
Yeah, because
get his
they had the
in Russia.
sexual assault.
No,
Yeah,
not
I
sexual
remember that. And
assault.
then
No,
I thought it was like an
no,
assault allegation from
no,
Russia.
no. They Panarin's family was like in danger because Panarin like spoke against like Putin or whatever. And
Yeah, and I think they falsely
wait, no,
accused him.
I think I. Oh no, you know what? You are right. I think. No, yeah, 100%. You are right. Yeah, but it was proven false.
Yeah. I
No,
remember they
I
had that they
forgot
were
about that.
in it, and then they sucked down the stretch. I remember because
Yeah,
Capitals stretch. I think they lost both those games. And then I remember they got shut out late in the season against the Islanders. They played like a terrible game. Because I remember they dominated the Devils. Like they crushed the Devils
Yeah,
all
I think
year
they beat
that
them
year.
every game.
And then that was the year like Varlamov had a pretty good season. They got beat by him like twice. Because they got shut out against the Islanders. I remember to open the season. And then they beat him the next night. Like,
like 6-1.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I remember there was they played the Flyers that one week 9-0, and then they played them like that weekend and they lost like 2-1. It's like they just put up 9 goals against them and then
Can't get any more. I don't know, but the core hasn't really done much. I mean, you could say what you want about the 2 conference final appearances, but I mean, if you really want to, I mean, at the end of the day, you win a series, you win a series. But I mean, they kind of got lucky against Pittsburgh that Crosby didn't play in Game 6, right? And they barely won that
I mean, it
game.
takes a little bit of luck in general just to get 3-1.
They won Game 7 barely in overtime, so they won that series down 3-1.
And they were facing Louis Domingue, who's Magic right now.
Playing third-string goalie.
Yeah.
Then the next series, they get on 2-0. I mean, I give them credit, though. They battled in that series against the Hurricanes. And then the next series, you blow it, 2-0 lead. Then the next year, you fall flat after 2-0 lead against the Devils. Did not look good. Coach gets fired. Then last year was like a resurgent year for everyone. Won the President's Trophy, new coach. Everyone's having a career year.
Conference finals to a Florida team.
You completely wipe off the Panthers or the Capitals. Then you play pretty good early in the series against the Hurricanes. And then they kind of just died out after that. Almost got reverse swept. Crowd had the legacy period to get you through that series. And then they played okay in the early parts of that series against the Panthers. But besides that, they got absolutely dominated. And they couldn't keep up the speed, physicality. And they just relied on Igor. And I don't know. After that, ever since that series, I feel like they kind of just – it just hasn't been good.
Yeah. I agree. This season's been terrible.
Yeah, I don't think that – I think this core is probably done after this year. Like I said, there's a chance it goes one more year just because Kreider and Panarin are still going to be under contract. But I think the year after that, there's 0. Like the most this core gets is one more year just because of the contract. I think Kreider's got one more year. I think Panarin is on his last year or next year. So
yeah, it's rough. Anyway, goal picks.
Yeah, all right. We're tied again.
Yes.
We both got one.
I got my revenge.
Because I took JT Miller, he scored, and then you took JT
Miller, and I said, All right. 4 games. No, 3 games. What am I talking about? 3 games. Toronto.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like got to go with the hot hand. I'll go with Johnny Brzezinski.
All right. That's how you get Rangers Twitter back on your side.
Yeah, that's a crazy pick. We'll go with him.
Let's see, Toronto. Geez. I feel like Panarin's got to score at some point, but I'm gonna go. I want to save him. I'm gonna go Riley Smith.
Riley Smith. I mean, if you went with like a Panarin or like a Miller there. Because what are the chances? What's his face scores?
I would go Panarin, but I want to save him.
All right. What's the next game? The
Nashville
Predators. I feel like we'll go with Panarin against Nashville. I feel like he's a
I was gonna go
Nashville
Panarin.
merchant.
Yeah, I was going to go bad game merchant. So Panarin, I was going to go Panarin against Nashville. Now I'm going to go, JT Miller. Actually, no, I take that back.
No JT Miller.
No JT Miller. We're going to go Mika against Nashville.
It's a bench, all right.
Mika March.
Start
the
the start
start
of
of
Mika
Mika
March.
March.
All right, then I got to take Mika then against the Islanders.
Islanders. All right. I'll
Yeah.
go JT Miller against the Islanders. I feel like
Double
I gotta
dipping
have one
JT
safe
Miller.
pick in there. I kind of went the two risky ones. Gotta go. Although Mika should be a lock, but
Should I change? Wait, I might change my pick. For the Toronto game. Should I take Othman instead of Brzezinski? Oh, you know, I'm gonna take Othman. If he doesn't play,
Brodzinski.
it's Brzezinski. But
Right.
so I'm a
Friday night. Give me
I'm a
Riley
D1
Smith.
Brzezinski hater. So
Riley Smith lives for Friday nights in Madison Square Garden.
did score Friday against. You remember he had that one big game against the Penguins? That was a Friday night.
That was after the Trouba trade.
Yeah.
All right, that'll do it. We'll be back next week, and hopefully the Rangers win. If the Rangers go 3-0, different tone next week. Like if they beat up on the Maple Leafs tomorrow and do what they need to do against Toronto. And
What day is the Islanders game? Is that the last game
Monday.
before the deadline, or no? There's
no, Capitals is.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
4 games left till deadline. So that'll do it. Talk to you next week.